welcome back to the Anime Collector. You know, collecting is actually a pretty stressful hobby, and I like to think that the tips I've given you on this channel have all had the first purpose of relieving some of that stress if possible. And today's tip is no different, but it might be a little bit more abstract, a little bit counterintuitive, possibly even misleading. So today's tip is to make a list, but I don't want you to make a list of every show you've ever wanted to get and keep it with you at all times and look at it every day. I actually think that that would be counterproductive. That would actually cause more stress in your life. My tip today is actually make a list and throw it away. Make a list and forget about it. Alright, now let me explain how I sort of came up with this tip, how I learned this life lesson. In the early stages of collecting, there were some really dark times. You know, I didn't start collecting with a couple hundred DVDs. I started with one DVD, just like everybody else. And then one DVD becomes a handful. And then a handful becomes a shelf. And then a shelf becomes two, and then three, and then four, and then eventually it's a whole bookcase. And somewhere over the last 10 years, those bookcases turned into 6 bookcases. You know? And somewhere between shelf 1 and shelf 2, I made that cognitive decision that I was collecting. I actively wanted to pursue the growth of my anime library because I wanted to experience these shows. You know? And there were some really bittersweet moments where I would go to the store and I would take the last dime I had that I'd been saving for so long so I could pick up that show that I wanted to get. And I'd have this really bittersweet moment as I would mentally check that anime off of an endless list in my head of all the animes I wanted. And I would look around at the other DVDs in the store as I was picking up the one I had come for, and I'd feel really discouraged that it was going to take me years to get this DVD or that DVD, and I felt like they were going to go out of print and I would never get my hands on them. And it just made me so depressed. And one night I actually got in front of my computer and I typed up a list of all the animes I really wanted to get that I didn't have yet. Right? And the list ended up being like 50 or 60 animes long. And it was really discouraging. I saved the document without thinking about it. I went to bed and I completely forgot that I had written it. Until about 2 years later or so, when I found that document and I opened it up thinking it was going to make me just as depressed reading it as it did writing it. And to my surprise, I had every single anime that was on that list. And it didn't take me 5 years. It didn't take me 10 years. It took me less than 2. Because not only did I have all the animes that were on that list, the 50 or 60 animes there, I had 4 or 5 times that amount in only 2 years. And that's when I realized that it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. And if you let it become about the destination, then it stops being a hobby and it starts becoming a chore. And that's the worst thing that can happen to your hobby because it becomes something that causes stress instead of taking it away. Guys, if you truly want something in life, subconsciously you're going to be pursuing it whether you realize it or not. If 30 years go by and you find a box in your garage with a bunch of old karate belts, and you think back like, God, 20 years ago I stopped practicing and I was only 2 belts away from black. And when I started practicing, that's all I wanted in life, was to be a black belt. I'm so lazy, so worthless. I can't believe I gave up on this goal when all I had to do was a little bit more extra work. Instead of regretting that you never made it to black belt, try to think about who or what entered your life 20 years ago that made you reevaluate what was truly important to you in life, that made you pursue that instead. Don't look at your life as a series of regrets, a series of unmet goals, a series of failures. Look at them instead as a series of stepping stones towards what you truly want out of life. If you let yourself be bogged down by these ideas of regret, all they're going to do is cripple you from progressing forward. The only person who can stop you from achieving what you really want in life is you. Anyway, that's the philosophy I've lived by ever since that moment when I realized that life is not about the destination, it's about the journey. And it's served me very well in collecting because I haven't had that same stress ever since. Anyway, it looks like we're going to need to add another shelf for this tip. So let's pop it up there. And rather than encourage you guys to watch Interstellar 4 or 5 again, I'd like you guys to check out a new YouTube channel started by my buddy called Super Dynakin. He's brand new to the YouTube scene, but he definitely shows an awful lot of promise. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.